And to get this started, Adam sent this to me again. I was working back to back, so I was a bit busy. But once I saw the message, I was like, goodness. So the song by Jack Harlow, we all know, it's called "Lovin' Me," right? "Lovin' Me,"
Loving on me. I
"Lovin'
don't
on
want
Me."
no whips, no chains. You
Listen,
own
it's
me
catchy,
down.
but it actually debuted at number two last week, and this week it
uh,
climbed to number one. So that would be his third number one single on Billboard. The other two are First
Crazy.
Class and Industry Baby, and he basically just started his career. I'm surprised What's Poppin'
Three.
didn't make it to number one.
That's crazy. And it's three number one singles in 3 consecutive years. Also
Wow.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not this chorus is really catchy. The verses
hmm
aren't particularly for me, but I can see why it's number one. It's stuck in my head. I'm vanilla baby. Like that the whole if you want to talk about how it kind of sounds like the motto or it kind of sounds like truffle butter, you can. But I got to give credit to Jack's team. This is so impressive. What are your thoughts on the song before I go on a little rant about how Jack has perfectly executed his career thus far?
So first, shout out to Jack for using a sample that isn't heavily known. The sample is "Whatever" by Cadillac Dale. And usually we've been hearing in hip hop a lot of samples from previously popular songs that are sampled by the same sample. But Jack did something different here. And he's been doing this for a while now, having some good tracks. I remember he had a Bryson Tiller track on
Hmm.
his debut album,
Confetti.
and
Yeah.
Confetti,
It's
and the
cool.
one on his debut project too that had a sample. I forget what it was. Maybe it was a single. I forget the
Oh,
song.
I know you're talking about. I was thinking about Through the Night, but that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about I can picture it in my head.
Love is Dro
Yeah,
with the
Love is Dry.
Static
Yeah.
Major sample. So shout out to Jack for that. And I'm not gonna like shade Jack at all because Jack is awesome. He's a great guy, great character, great artist too. And for him to make bangers is nothing new. He's been doing this in his career for a while now. If you didn't know, songs like Sundown,
Banger.
all those major tracks that people love. The song is good. The chorus is catchy. Of course, the verses are a little bit ha ha ha.
Pop it.
He's
Yeah.
spelling it out. What did you say? Like
The JAC.
that, and it was like, if you're a girl, let go of that guy's hand and just
Yeah.
whatever. But
It's club music. It
it's
was
club
made for
music.
to go out, which honestly is rare. You don't see a lot of club music made these days,
Mhm.
I feel like, from a huge major artist.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's also crazy. He has more number one singles than J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar combined.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. It's
That's insane.
crazy, but it's not crazy. It's the same reason why a person like NBA YoungBoy has more streams than Jay Z or
Yeah.
Kendrick. I- that's the one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Not that Jack did anything wrong. Jack did his thing. My issue is with Billboard. It shows that Billboard, and I know Russ was alluding to this earlier, there's something wrong in how they are measuring music because back then, number one songs meant something. They represented what everybody in the country was feeling during that time. And First Person Shooter, right? That was J. Cole's first number one single, am I correct?
Yeah.
That song, it lasted in the top 10 Billboard and it debuted at number one, but it got kicked off a week after. So it's on there for 1 week.
Yeah.
How does that
I
happen? When
think
somebody drops a number one song, it stays. For it to leave like that, I mean, what's that?
I think part of it is radio's not important now. So we do say that it seemed like songs in the 2010s, when they were a number one song, you knew that song. You heard it everywhere. So I think I saw someone tweet talking about Slide by Frank Ocean and Migos. That song didn't even crack the top five. Like songs like that you knew were catchy, it was hard to reach number one. So maybe it's a little bit easier for randoms, not random, but songs to reach number one just for a week or two versus back then a song could be number one for a whole entire year and had a stranglehold on the entire industry. Like, I don't know, Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. It was played on radio and something like that probably lasted number one for 6 months versus now, it's obviously quicker consumption. And yeah, I don't know the shade. There's shady stuff going on, but I don't know exactly what it is. So it's
Mhm.
hard to be like, this is what's happening. This is why this song's doing well. Yeah, it's weird that it lasted only a week. Kendrick's album, when it came out, was top 10 after 1 week and then leaves right away. So, like, it's weird.
It is. But go ahead, go on your rant. Tell me what you have
Yeah.
to feel, what you want to say about Jack.
So, I want to say that Jack Harlow, his team, his management, whether it's Generation Now and DJ Drama or his close management team and friends around him, they have executed this career perfectly. And we can get it out of the way right now. Yes, he is a white rapper in a genre that's created by black people. Yes, he benefits from being white. And there are a lot of rappers who are white that want to sound like Drake and are not doing as well as him. So let's get into what he's actually doing right. Let's start from the rapping perspective. This dude raps. and he knows rap well. I've seen in interviews that his mom had him listening to Tribe Called Quest when he was growing up. He's someone who pays respect to all of his idols. He goes on all the major radio shows. He goes on Rap Radar with Elliot and B Dot. He goes on Sway in the Morning, who loves him when he's on the show. He goes on Funk Flex. He goes on Bootleg Kev. He goes on Big Boy. He goes on Cam and Mace's show. He does the freestyles. That's the classic hip hop stuff. He was performing at South by Southwest for 10 people. So does some people say he's an industry plant? Ironic that Industry Baby was his first single to go popular. But people in Louisville and Kentucky know that he took the really small steps of doing really small tours and reaching, slowly going up. And what we were talking about before about that community building, his only tour this year is going on right now. He's doing 6 shows throughout Kentucky in random cities that we would not have any clue what they are because we are not from Kentucky. I haven't really seen another artist do that, like, ever. I haven't seen a New Jersey rapper go to the different small cities in New Jersey to perform. He has all the Kentucky on his side. And then he drops a pop album. It gets nominated for a Grammy, but it gets a lot of hate. It's a pop rap album. And then what does he do? He comes back and he drops a straight rap album that gets a lot of praise, little marketing. He just wanted to get his bars off. And let's talk about, he's really likable. I don't know if it's just a me thing. Dude, when I'm watching these interviews, I am smiling ear to ear. I think he's really funny. Maybe I'm glazing him, but I think he's just really likable. He's really funny in the Cam and Mace interview. That goes viral. He never gets in trouble. His only issue, and we talked about this before, was that he didn't know that Brandy was Ray J's brother.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he was 10 years old. It wasn't his choice what his mom played for him. I didn't listen to Brandy growing up. Maybe it's a white thing. I don't know. But you really only listen to what your parents listen to when you grow up. Then you're able to make your own choices on music. Otherwise, there have been interviews I've watched where they try to get him in a corner. They ask him about what drugs he's doing and stuff. And he always answers so correctly. And I think Charlemagne was like, you're answering this very well, these questions. Now let's go to the girl perspective. Because this man is becoming a heartthrob. He is doing what Drake did. And I was 11 when Drake was rising. So I don't know if he was doing these interviews like Jack is. He does the #1 girl podcast, Call Her Daddy. All my girlfriends love Call Her Daddy. I'm seeing it all over my TikTok. He kills the interview. That Emma Chamberlain clip when he was at the award show where he's like, I love you. Viral. Girls love him. He goes on Amelia's show, the chicken show.
Still need to watch that.
The chicken date videos. So he's executing the hip-hop side of it by doing all the classic interviews and showing love to hip-hop while also being a heartthrob and doing all the right things to keep the female side on him. If you go to a concert, it's a good mixture. It's not just like a female show. There's people that rock with Jack Harlow. So I got to give credit to his team. I think we talk about it all the time. There's not many rap superstars left. We know too much about artists. We hear one thing and we're like, ugh, canceled. This guy, every step of his career, has done the right move. He even took a break and dropped an album with no marketing, bounced right back as another #1 single. There's obviously different things to it. His race plays a part of it. But that's not many rappers are getting 3 #1 singles. It has to be something he's doing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget, and this is like the Eminem conundrum. When you're a white rapper, everything is against you. Let's be honest. No one's going to take you serious. Even if you watch Jack Harlow's older videos and he has the really long curly hair, no one's taking him serious. He had to flip the cards and place himself where he's at today. But now that he's on top, it's a benefit. I know Eminem said that on White America. First it was against me, but now it's quote unquote a benefit now. And you're right. He's done everything right. I remember he first put out the What's Poppin' video, Lyrical Lemonade. And that's what put him in front of everybody. After that, he did Tyler Hero. After Tyler Hero, he dropped the album. After the album, he did Industry Baby. After he knows exactly what he's doing. And of course, shout out to his managerial team and Garden Collective and Generation Now too. They're doing it 100% right. And I'm excited for this next album, honestly. If he can get a good mixture of the pop sound, the singing with some rap, he's going to be here. But I have a question for you. Do you think that he's can we call him a superstar? For sure.
First, I want to say he also puts so many artists on. He put SG on from Kentucky. So I just want to shout that fact too.
Yep.
Is he a superstar? Yes. If there is one today, it's Jack Harlow. I see his interviews get the Dinkle, whatever her name is, Amelia, the chicken show. I cannot pronounce the last name. It has 10 million views on YouTube. People are people don't really tune into interviews as much as they used to. They are tuning into this man. Every TikTok is viral. If you look up Jack Harlow funny moments, there's a
Mhm.
15-minute clip and it has a million views.
Yeah.
That's He's a superstar. He goes to he does the video for Churchill Downs at the Kentucky
Mhm.
Derby. Everyone's going crazy. He runs that state of Kentucky,
Mhm.
and
I don't know how anyone could hate him, honestly.
he's so likable. Like, I'm literally, like, smirking while I watch him, and it's I think it's so impressive that he sings sometimes, but I gotta emphasize the fact that he is not a singer. I think that's the hardest part. Like, he's doing most of this off of the fact of just rapping. Drake, if you wanna do the comparisons, half of Drake's songs are singing, and real singing, like R&B
Mhm.
ballads. Jack Harlow is not doing that, which I think is, like, so impressive to get
Yeah,
away with it.
and like you said before, he puts other artists on the map. You talked about SG, he gave Skilla Baby a shout out on the new hit song. Now people are
Yeah,
looking up Skilla Baby on the Nail Tech, the Southern rapper he put on there, the Bow
yeah,
Bow Bow. You know,
ballad.
that's what he did. That's important, and he's not taking anything from the culture. He's adding more to it. And I just wish honestly the best for Jack. He is that guy. I think he is number one, and
Yeah.
he's gonna deliver. Hope with that next album.
Yeah, I remember in one of his interviews, I really appreciated this, but he was saying how it's cool when a girl comes up to him and says, like, "I love your music," but he said his favorite thing is when a guy comes up to him and says, "Yo, you're rapping your ass off." So, Jack, if you do see this, you're rapping your ass off on that album. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and one thing too, that industry baby conver or not industry, plant conversation needs to go. I mean, anybody who signs to a label is technically an industry plant. The
Yeah,
industry is gonna put you there. They're literally backing you. They're paying for marketing ads and stuff. Like that's isn't that the whole point? Unless you wanna stay indie forever. I remember
yeah,
Mitch Mula was saying that a lot of artists take pride in being independent artists,
but
but
they
most
have
of
to
the
be.
time, you're independent because you have to be. Tell the
Yeah,
truth. So Jack is doing his thing, and he's been doing everything correctly. So it's nothing against him at all. He's not an industry plant.
yeah.
Y'all need to quit that.
Yeah, people who are Jack fans know he took the steps. I remember seeing Sundown being
Mhm.
tweeted under other bigger artists' tweets, like the same stuff that indie artists do now. It was all over, and I remember showing my dad in high school, like, this music video. I'm like, "Look at this kid, he's fire." And I remember when What's Poppin' came out, no one really knew what it was, and I'm like, "This is
Mhm.
my favorite song right now." And then when my other friends started listening to it, it felt like I won. I'm like, it's always fun to watch an artist you love rise up the ranks and get that acclaim. It's like saying JID right now with surround sound. It's like, "That's my dude.
Yeah.
Let's go."
I heard the song is doing what, like double platinum now because of
Yeah, I
the
think it's
recent
nearing it. It's
trend?
nearing it. It's awesome.
Man.
Like, it's awesome. And I'm not sure if I said this in the podcast, but I think it's a perfect way for the song to have a second life because as a JID fan, I played that song to the ground already.
Mhm.
Like, I've listened to it enough. I think if this trend had come out when the song came out, as a JID fan, you'd be like, "Ugh, like, this is his poppy song." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But the fact that, like, I already played it to the ground and I loved it already, and now it's getting a second life and now new people are finding it, I think that's perfect because it's not like, "Oh, he made a poppy song to get, like, catchy." It did really well the first time, and now it's the number 1 TikTok trend.
That's a good point because every time a song gets too popular, for some reason, I start to hate it.
Yeah, it's like the, Steve Lacy song. 'Cause I loved it
Yeah.
when the album came out, but then it's like,
Mhm.
it's kind of everywhere now, it's a little bit
Mhm.
ruined. But there's other Steve Lacy songs that are getting popular 2 years later, and it's like, I already played that song to death anyway, so, like, good for him.
Good for him. Shout out to Jack, man. He's doing everything right and